One of the things I've been recently, sorry, I'm just gonna move the fan here, that I've been kind of recently getting into myself is wonderful reminders that I'm getting, and even if it's my own thoughts, the thought that is like, because I saw this one episode from Next Level Soul podcast, right? And there was a guest, and he was channeling his something like his guides, and he was talking about the one thing that struck me was like, if you had 7 days to live, how would you spend it? I mean, I guess it depends on if you come to learn to listen to your heart's desire, not that energy of neediness, that energy of that's whole like, that's really like, this is meaningful, it's from the heart, it's really like, it's almost like you've really brought out the whole like, I've lived in these little 7 days and make it completely meaningful. That's what I've been wanting pretty much my whole life. But I think what I've been doing is projecting it out to other people in the world and be like, why don't you give me meaning? It's one of those things. But it's one of those things that is like, no. And I'm still learning that, but at the same time, it's like, there's nothing really to learn anymore, because it's like, we listen to that, you just breathe and you'll know what means to you. The things become meaningful, even if it's like by yourself and you start to really love yourself more. I mean, really process it and go into the emotions, and then the thoughts will come naturally from those. But those emotions that are like, not just emotions, but like inspiration almost. Like, I don't know, this is energy. And I want to tie something into this one, because I was watching this. I wasn't really watching videos, but one of the things I've been noticing is that people are starting to call it something where it's really like, all these changes that have been happening. One video I saw, he's talking about Stephen, something with languages, I don't know. He said element of surprise. This is like, okay. And so one of the things I tied to, just for some reason, I was like thinking about the whole 7 days thing. And I said, well, isn't that what change is? Real change comes from complete transformation and dying to the old. Even if it's literal dying, because people are scared of that. We are scared of dying. I mean, like, one of the wonderful things I did yesterday, you probably saw it already in the video that I posted. I was out in this park. I was just with one of my closest friends, and we were just hanging out. We were just talking. It was very heartfelt. It was very meaningful. First, it was kind of awkward because we haven't seen each other for like 4 years. I'm like in person. And that's the thing, people like us, at least people who are, we weren't rushing anything. We weren't like trying to force it. Like, we've created these thick ass boundaries because, trust has become like an issue. But the thing is, there's always a thing to everything we experience. There's no label anymore, especially now, if you have these 7 days left, what would that be? This is where, if you've seen from the title, it's really about the whole vulnerability to accountability. It's not accountable to others, it's accountable to, yes, yourself, but like the connection to what is eternal. And you start to realize, so the use of, what I'm trying to say here is that it's almost like the gift of fear. It's like that Pandora's box, right? Instead of hope being beneath the box, like the furthest most, like inside the deep into the, down at the bottom of the box, or whatever it is. is that whole thing. It's like hope. I think, if I don't know if it's a mistranslation or anything, but it's like hope in that case is like there's that gift that comes from this thing that we call, I don't know, well, gift, right? To see the, not just reason, it's more than reason. That, when there's fear, we can reuse it. We can reuse it to see, like, to get to the point where we start to understand and feel it. It's in the body. It's just like, it's sort of an inner knowing that's like, okay, so I'm gonna die tomorrow. And then you make the most out of it by just looking for not looking. It's almost like you're just being in the moment, and you start to connect, and you start to go spend time with people. It's not about the doing anymore. It's about the being, and saying like, okay, the petty things anymore, like the bills, the jobs, and the career, and all that stuff doesn't matter anymore. It's the fact that we're all from one source. So the fact that we are all connected, that it's always just is. I don't know if that makes sense right now, but this is why I was talking about the whole vulnerability to accountability. Means like, yes, there's a fear. We feel vulnerable. We feel like, oh my God, but then you start to realize when you process it, if you had 7 days to live, let alone 2 days, 1 day, an hour, what's that going to be like? You want it to be the most meaningful, right? However it is for you, how it is for me, right? And that's what I've been kind of like, every once in a while now, I process that. Like before I go to bed, if I say that, there's that's why we have that, what is that thing? I don't know, it's like a prayer from the old one. Lay me down to sleep for my soul to keep, or something like that. I forgot how it goes, right? So the whole point of it is like, it is always going to be connected, but the fear of losing this form that we're in, that's the vulnerability part. And then we start to become more accountable to the actions we take towards that meaningful living. Again, it's not really about the doing, it's about the being. We start to understand, it's like, because the doing is just a reflection of being. It's a kind of like the action, right? The action helps to facilitate what it is, but being is it's not about importance either. It's that we start to realize that being is. That's it. That's all it's ever been. So I wanted to tie this actually to something astrological. But the point is, when we go through these shocks, these unexpected things, because our subconscious or the soul wants to understand, it's like, this is not what you really want. This is not what you came here for. This is not your purpose. This is not fulfilling. So we got to change that up. Astrologically speaking, it's big. It's big. It's going to be big for the next 200 years or so. But at the very least, on an individual level, it doesn't have to be about 200 years. It could be about 2 days, right? 2 hours. How would it be? We know it. We have an inner knowing how to make things meaningful. I can't really say, I can't speak for other people. So, and it doesn't necessarily have to be drastic. It could be, you make a choice, It's what it is. Like right now, I have this like knowing that I'm going to keep the job that I have, but I'm also kind of like inch by inch, kind of like tying that sort of that, I guess you can say it's sort of a motto to incorporate that kind of aspect to people that I talk to online, like the students that I help. Who cares, regardless of like their methods that I don't believe in? I don't, I'm not for it. That's just what it is. But what's more important? Am I connecting with the students? Am I connecting? You get what I'm saying? Connecting, right? It's not about the system. It's not about what they do. It's not about the classes. It's the connection. At least that's what I've been learning. And I've known that for a long time. I was too afraid to apply it before. But now it's just like, yeah, if I had 7 days to live, yeah, I would make it exactly like this. I don't necessarily have to quit this job. I could, because what? The job is the job. You quit it in 7 days. Like, what, then what? If anything, I would quit the job just for the sake of just not looking for another job. I would quit it, period. No job. Because it's not important. What's important is what I do it with. I would literally call up like the ones that I would spend the last $1,000 that I have to go. I would tell one of my closest friends online. I'd message her on I'd text them on Messenger and be like, hey, I'm booking a flight soon. You want to meet up in a few days? And it's like, whoa, it's like a whoa. I would so do that. And I'm not saying that. I think that I would definitely do that. Because, especially when it comes to people, right? We're a very social species. So when you really connect with someone and you feel like your complete self with them, you'd want to fucking like spend the rest of the 7 days with them. Or partially with someone. And then, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's scary, but at the same time, it's exciting. It's almost like there's this feel of like, this is going to end, but it's also going to be a new beginning. Because there's this inner knowing, if you just allow for it, that it's like, wow. There's going to be tears, there's going to be, there's going to be some sort of bit of anxiety there, but for the most part, I would say there'll be this feeling of like, I've actually lived in this moment. In the 7 days that you would have left. Personally, for me right now, as I'm crying, I'm not trying to be dramatic or anything like that, but that's part of the process, right? Is to feel like once you've done that, it's like, wow, let's say, if I can imagine, like I can foresee it, and be like, I just want to spend the last of my days and just hanging out. I don't care if I have a will already written. I don't care anymore about changing any of that stuff. That's the will, right? And then it's really about that. It's the connection. So that's what I meant by that. Because you never know what's going to happen. Like it's now you become more conscious about the choices that, at least for me, that I would make. I'm becoming accountable for like, I want it to be meaningful. There may not be any time to process things, but once you've done it, and it makes for a very more like wonderful experience, regardless of the fear behind it. Let it be there, because at least that's what I do, or at least I've been learning to. So grateful for the people that I see online here on YouTube. the people everywhere that I see, they're talking about all these things about how they're spending their lives and it's becoming, they're really living it. And it's such a honor and a blessing and a gift to know that there are people who really, you can say, step it up, right? So yeah, that's my little tidbit, this one. What would you do? I mean, we are eternal, but the fear is still there again. Like I said, the body, this will, and I'm laughing at it because it's like, okay, we see the futility in holding on to that. We know it; it's an inner knowing, even though there is still fear, and that's totally okay. It's totally okay. So, vulnerability to accountability. I hope that, yeah. I don't know what else. What else would I do in the 7 days? Yeah. Anyways, if you have anything you want to share, what would you do? Share it. You'd like to. I think this is something that's come up a lot more. Yeah. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later.